Season T1, which is the 5th season of Call of Dragons, has just started for many people, and I am going to give you a quick start guide on what you really should be doing right off the bat and what you must not forget. Hey everyone, Zoraz here from Not Casual. So right away, we're going to jump into Season T1. As you can see, we have just landed literally 10 minutes ago. So the first thing, very important, is the new season talents. You will be getting 2 points for free at the beginning. As you can see, I have one here and I have already taken this talent. So this is the #1 priority right now. This talent gives you 10% prestige for all the darklings and dark forces you're defeating. Now prestige is what's used for your policies, and this season the policies are even better than ever, especially for whales. So this is something you will need to max at the beginning because it costs only 1 point and it will give you a lot. When you are eventually going to be at a point where you have maxed out all the prestige, you will be able to reset, as you can see at the top right here, and this is something that you will be able to do basically once this season, as the cooldown is apparently 40 days. So this is not something you want to do and mess up from the beginning. So your first point here is really going to be the #1 priority. Then your second point will going into the range assault if you are going to be playing ranged units such as marksmen and mages, which is the majority of people. If for some reason you want to play melee, well then battlefield domination could be good for you, but as I said, majority of people are going to be playing ranged assault. Now you have the choice between 1.5% skill damage or 5% move speed. The majority of people will be picking this because move speed is so important in war and affects all of your marches. And while 1.5% damage is decent, it is not that amazing because many marches don't have skill damage. So it's up to you, but really this should be it. Then if you are going to be a marksman player, you will most likely be going for this, as well as long range warfare, and obviously this eventually. And if you are a mage player, also most likely going to be for this and this one instead of this one. Now you can decide whatever you want to do. They are both viable options. Long range warfare is good, but it's not as good as people think because it does nerf your damage significantly. And there are rumors that long range warfare won't work with Archer's artifacts, so could be something that many people will be playing. Of course, it is going to be good, but it is not game breaking that makes archers so overpowered that the game is going to be over. Mages are still going to excel, and this is still going to be amazing for people running multiple mage marches. Now, the next thing you want to do has to do with your policies. Of course, as always in every season, military expansion is one of the top priorities, but there is Spread the Word, which is a new one and also gives you prestige gain up to 20%. So this is now going to be your 2 top priorities, making your march bigger and getting this so that you can gain max prestige from the get-go as the same as the talent for the season. So these are going to be what you focus on by leveling basically all the other ones around because they are prerequisite for the higher levels of these. So this is what you really should be looking at. Now, of course, you will go down this tree and you'll make choices depending if you're free to play or a whale that wants to resource heal. And all the way down here, obviously, military expansion #2 is going to be what you are trying to build towards by unlocking all the prerequisites so that you can come here and max this as soon as possible again, so that you have a hard march so you can do darklings, all kind of stuff easier. And for any kind of early game war, this is going to be the most meaningful one in the end. Now keep in mind that you will not be able to get enough prestige to max out every single thing in this tree, at least for a very long time. So you will have to decide what you want to focus on, especially here, as it is going to be something that you will be strapped on. The prestige is going to be in very high demand, and even for pets, you know, all these things, there's so much that you want to get in this tree, and you do want to max these things out and this very soon. So just make sure that you don't blow all your prestige on things you don't want or don't need right off the bat, and then you can focus on things that you really are going to be needing for your power. Now, the other thing you really want to focus on is the donations. Now, as you can see, all of these are already maxed out because when you do donate, it does give you prestige. So this is obviously kind of like a fight where everybody's just donating as soon as you can. But the more you can donate, the better, because the more prestige you can gain from this, as well as you can give gems. Now, you can't do the behemoth one because at the beginning it's locked. There's no behemoth. But, you know, when you do see the ones that are open, it is good to donate. So it is good to be active and check this out often in the beginning of the game because it is free prestige. And also make sure you collect the gifts. As you can see, I already have hundreds and hundreds. I think there's like over 300 chests already, a lot of them golden. But my alliance is waiting to spend, obviously, because we want to make sure we have all of our members in before we do. But it's been 17 minutes and there's already over 300 chests. So it really is something you don't want to miss out because after 24 hours, they do expire. Now, the next thing is the Season 2 Plus rewards. Of course, being the winners, we do get the max rewards. Now here, this event, the Artifact Compendium, is the best event in the game. You have a 12.69% chance of getting an artifact, which is 10 times higher than any other artifact event. So if you are going to be doing anything with gems, this is your #1 priority, as it has the highest chance of giving you the best artifacts in the game. You should and you must really spend on this if you want, but even if you didn't win, the amount of value here is just too good. So do make sure that you get the gems needed for this. And the other rewards, now this is not really different from last season, except that there's the new pets, which have obviously their new ability. This is still the best choice of them all. If you're going to be running 2 mages with 2 of these pets, this is not a second buy that is a bad choice at all. Now, if you want to change things up because you're not planning on running more than one of these pets, then get whatever one you want for your pet. If you're going to be running this, which is still a decent pet, even though I don't think it's better than this pet currently, but all the testing, this is still one choice. If you're going to be going heavy on the infantry play, which we've seen a lot last season, this is also a very good choice. And obviously this is another really good choice for the archer marches. So, you know, you can choose quite a few of these that are going to be decent. I personally might end up just doing a second split pain bloom because I'm going to be going all in on the mages. In the other hand, if you're in the Conqueror ward, I think this is the best choice, or one of the best choices. There's nowhere else to get this in the game, and obviously this is a decent amount of rage over long periods of times especially. So this is amazing, but this can also be very decent if you're going to have a very strong pet. If you have a 2-star pet, for example, and you have put this on them, and you have follow-up, and then you do this on top of it, it's all going to add up to a lot of damage. And then obviously this one is just rage, so you really get to choose here what you want to do. There's many different things to do depending on the levels of whaling you are, but if you're not a whale with a super massive pet, this I think is the safest option you can take. But again, there really isn't a lot of bad options here, you know, but this is the 2 highest value in my opinion. Now, coming here next, of course, this is one of the best choice you can buy because it will allow you to engrave your artifacts. But otherwise, then the choice becomes basically either you want CP recovery or you want prestige. So like this one will give you, you know, 1500 CP, which is allowing you to kill a lot of darklings, level up your marches, and get prestige, while this one is just prestige. I tend to like this more, but this gets higher value the longer you wait to use it because you get higher and higher level darklings. But this is a right off the bat high amount of prestige to boost your policies from the get-go. So there is a fine line. You try to go with whatever you have left. You know, I'm going to spend 1,000 here, 500 here, then I'm going to have 1,300 left. I'll buy, you know, a bit of each. If I, you know, I can buy this one, and the rest will be all these ones. It depends on what you want to do. There really isn't a bad way to do it here. I haven't calculated exactly what the value is, but it's not so far apart. Just as long as you don't pick the mana, it is going to be decent enough. Now, another thing that is very, very, very important here is that you are going to buy everything in this VIP store that you can. As you can see, the reset is in 22 hours. So you get a free refresh. So everything in this VIP store is currently buyable again. So obviously buy what you want depending on your spend level. But then tomorrow at the regular Sunday reset, you're going to get another full chance to buy again. So this is really something you have to do in the first 24 hours because it is really important. Coming to the events, this is going to be the biggest trap of all of them. This event, in my opinion, is worth doing the 50%, and that is it. Because as you will see right here, the probability is very low. So kind of like a regular. Now it does have access to the better artifacts, which are, you know, obviously the ones that are harder to get from regular things as you have to wait for the Forge of Light events. But it also gives you a chance at some of the worst artifacts in the game. So you are going to be spending incredibly high amount of gems because there's no discount here. 6,000 is the full price of a key. You do have the chance of getting some of the good artifacts, but the price is just so insane. So this is something that if you are not someone who spends hundreds if not thousands of dollars on this game a month, this is something you will just be wasting gems on. You can spend 50,000 gem and then get out of Storm Peak, which is the worst artifact in the game in my opinion, for the price. So it really is just not worth the gamble. I obviously want this one, but know that the first Forge of Light event is going to have this orb as well. So it's way better to save your gems for the Forge of Light when you have a much better choice and a much more control on what artifact you get out of it. Now, this is obviously going to be the Wheel of Destiny. Now, it is one of the best things you can really be doing if you're a spender or if you have saved up some of these tickets. The reason being that the only way to get Tohar will be through the Strongest Lord event in the game. So if you do want Tohar, you are going to have a better chance of doing it through here, because otherwise you will need to get a pretty high ranking in the Strongest Lord, which is going to be obviously hard depending on the servers, but if you're not a whale. So this gives you a much higher chance of getting him, even though it's still RNG. It is not necessary either, of course, but this is just something to note, because otherwise if you want Tohar, not that he's really that good, to be honest, you know, I am going to make a full video on why I think so. After a lot of testing and reports that I've seen, he really is underwhelming to me, but we still have to see a bit more of him to make sure. But in any case, I am going to be spinning this as much as I can. The reason being that there is really no other way to get Tohar, like I said, that is going to be secure. So I do not want to be, you know, getting shafted and not able to get him, because on my server, there we go. On my server, it is going to be very, very hard to do so. So as I said, this is exactly what you want to happen. Now, obviously, I can basically stop. I'm going to keep going because I do want to get Bertrand, but this is really what the best case scenario. You just really want to unlock him because it is really a high value hero, as there is no other way of getting in. And even just if you get him for this pack that pops when you get him, it's worth it. It is going to be, you know, 10 of these and a lot of value here. So it is one reason that you want to have at least him unlocked. If you don't want to use him, it is not a big deal there. It doesn't matter. Just having him unlocked is just the key here. Now, as for the other event, there is nothing special. Obviously, this is a speed up rush event, so you can fight against other people if you do want to have this, but the rewards are, you know, pretty low. And otherwise, you know, it's the same Behemoth, Ileana, all that stuff. The one thing to keep in note, if you don't remember, is that Resurgence can only be done for the first 7 days of this new season. So if you are going to be switching around, now is the time, because otherwise afterwards you will not be able to for the rest of the season until the very end. And then other than that, this is the same stuff as every time. You do get, you know, buffs at the beginning to build and stuff. And this announces us that Tohar is the upcoming Strongest Lord hero. So this is nothing new here. Going into spending, of course, at the beginning of the season, there's a lot of gems bundles. This is the highest value in the game by far. If you are going to be spending 15,000 gems, is not that expensive to achieve. And this is going to be literally the best value in the game. You get so many rewards for a pretty low amount of money spent, as you can get 15,000 gems from less than $100, especially knowing that this is reset. So the first purchase has reset. You do have access to the plus 25 plus 12,000, so basically double. So this is really, really high value, as it obviously gives you so much more than any other way in the game. And this is really just a thing that if you're a spender, you will empty this every season for that reason. Now, this one does not reset. As you can see, I still have a bonus and my first purchase here hasn't been done. So it really is just for the gem, but just for those of you who might have forgotten, you can get a lot of gems here, and this is something you should be doing if you're a spender. Now, of course, once all of that is taken care of, your priority will be killing Darkling Patrols, the highest level you can, which is 36 at the beginning. So you will want to kill these with your troops. Now, obviously, I'm going to have to move some things around, but you want to level up your strongest marches. So there's a few ways of doing that. You can group with friends and only send like 2 marches. Or if you're very strong T5, you might be able to solo that quite easily. The reason is that it costs less CP the longer you fight them, right? So if you are going to be leveling basically like 2 of your strongest marches, then it is going to be better for behemoths and stuff like that, because you want to get them to 50 as soon as possible. Otherwise, you can just send 5 marches and kind of level everybody at the same time. Just make sure you set your marches right, and then you preset it, and then you always use the same. You can also do, you know, 4 or like 3, depending on how many marches you want to focus on. It's all really just for behemoth, because there really isn't a lot of war in the first few weeks anyways, especially on our current servers. If there's people in your zone, you will focus on less marches, because war will come faster to you, and it is going to be more important to have your 2 strongest marches at 50 than having all your marches at 40, for example. One last thing to mention is that if you are going to get more of these CP items, obviously you're going to get from a lot of things. You are going to want to hold on to using them until you know, you have to. Basically, every day you get higher level Darklings, so the longer you wait, the more value you get, because there is more prestige being gained from higher level. So the longer you wait, the more value your CP becomes. Obviously, it is going to be something that's different for everybody, but in general, this is something that is better holding off. Now, I hope you guys all have an amazing season. Obviously, we are going to be fighting some of the strongest alliances in the game, so there will be a lot of action. Make sure to stay tuned on the channel for a lot of war videos. as well as I am going to be making a video exactly explaining how Tohar works, how his awaken works, all this stuff. It gets interrupted. Does it work with Scorch? Does it work with the talents? How does it all work with Bertrand and Tohar? Are they worth pulling? The first impression that I have is that Bertrand is going to be amazing, especially for flying, but Tohar looks really, really bad right now and very, very underwhelming. So make sure to look out for my next video coming shortly about that. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you this season.